Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the debut episode of Spark to Spotlight. I'm Carol, the proud founder of Startup Links, and your host for this exciting journey into the minds of the most innovative entrepreneurs around. Today, we are thrilled to have Aaron, the founder of Swychr, a groundbreaking fintech startup that's revolutionizing digital remittance. Aaron, it's fantastic to have you with us today.
Thank you, Carol. My pleasure. I'm happy to be on this platform.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I actually saw on LinkedIn you call your app Swychr, pronounced as Swychr. So I was curious, what's the story behind this word? Does it derive from a specific language or idea?
Yes, the name of the company is pronounced Swychr, but spelled a bit differently. So, first, the name is driven by how the company does what it does. So, you've already clearly identified that we are revolutionizing, or we are kind of innovating in the digital remittance space. And how we do that is by leveraging on blockchain technology using our own digital token. So basically, for Carol to send money from, let's say, UAE to India, Carol has AED. So Carol goes to Swychr app, and then you have to add funds to your app. That process, actually, what happens is your AED is tokenized, is switched from fiat into a digital or crypto token. And then that token is represented, that token is pegged with the US dollars. So it's reflected in your account in USD. So you, for example, if you add 367 AED, you're going to see in your account you have approximately $100, for example, 100 PUSD. Our token is known as PUSD. Now, when you send PUSD to someone who is in India, that person cannot spend PUSD in India. They have to spend rupees. So they will again have to do a withdrawal from their Swychr account to, let's say, their bank account, and that process means switching again from the token back to a fiat currency. So the name of the company is Swychr because we are switching between the way we conduct our remittance and cross-border payments is by switching from one form of currency to the other, from fiat to crypto, and then from crypto back to fiat. However, because of the domain, we couldn't have like swychr.com the way it's spelled. So we had to find another way to spell it, which sounds the same, and for which the domain will be available. So that's why the company is spelled that way, but it's actually pronounced Swychr.
That's interesting. So the switcher actually means switching between different modes of payments, right? Or different format
Yes.
of currency from fiat into
Yeah.
digital, then digital back to fiat. Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Then moving on to your personal life. Actually, could you tell us a little bit about where and how you grew up and how your upbringing kind of influenced your path towards entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Thank you very much. So, I'm originally from Cameroon. I was born in a
I
small
have been
village in
there.
the northwest. Okay, interesting. So I was born in a small village in the northwest region of Cameroon. It's called Bawok. That's where I was born, and I think I spent the first 4 years of my life in the village. And then I think by the time I turned 5, we moved to a city called Bamenda, where I spent almost all of my life before, the rest of my growing up, it's in Bamenda before moving to the UAE when I was much older. Now, I think the way my upbringing inspired my journey as an entrepreneur is I spent my most of my childhood and even part of my adult life around people who were supposed to be entrepreneurs, but they were into entrepreneurship, but they didn't. No one was very sure that it's actually called entrepreneurship. In the sense, I grew up around my mom and her siblings, like my uncles, my aunties, and none of them actually had like a job, a proper job where you wake up, go to somewhere and work, and then you get a salary at the end of the month. All of them actually were involved in one business or the other. Some doing PT trading, some going to remote areas, buying goods and selling in the urban area. Just doing whatever they could do to make ends meet. And then also, I think I used to spend my summer holidays with my grandmom and granddad, who are farmers. So I got exposed to that process of creating value, either by just using your time and skills or by fulfilling a need. At that time, I didn't know that this is, this is entrepreneurship. They were just like, trying to earn money to make sure, they can live their lives. But that was really my first exposure to understand that there is an alternative path, that one could follow, which is different from just getting educated, getting a job, and getting paid every month. So I think that exposure really kind of subconsciously pushed me towards, uh, accepting that it's possible to actually create an alternative path for myself and generate value on my own.
Yeah, so in essence, your family members are actually entrepreneurs, right? They work for themselves from the very beginning.
Yes.
They actually
Yeah.
didn't really work for others.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. So that brings me to the next question. It's very much related, actually. We were curious about who would you say would be your biggest influences or mentors as you embark on your career? So according to what you just told us, maybe it's someone from your family or someone from your, immediate surroundings.
Yes, I think I've had, different people, to be honest. For some people, you always like fixate on one mentor. Like, okay, this, for me, I think I've been influenced by different people at different stages of my life. Some people that I know, some that I just watch from a distance, some very successful, some not very successful. But the biggest influence in my life, I would think, is my mom and grandmom, because I saw their struggles, and I saw how we moved from stage to stage, and how our life changed, at different stages in while we're growing up, thanks to their effort that they made, And typically, my mom, I saw how her business grew from a very small business, to a very reasonable size, and how our lives improved as the business grew, the challenges that she faced every day, and so on. So she's my biggest inspiration. However, um, her experience and whatever I could learn from her is also limited by the environment in which we grew up, and the scope of her activities. So again, because now I've come to a stage in life where probably I need to do even more than, I need to go beyond where she ended. I've now been inspired by a lot of different people for different reasons. So one person I used to admire a lot is Jack Ma. And the reason why I admire Jack Ma a lot is because I see myself in him. For example, he built a very huge tech empire, but he's not a developer, and I am not also a
Absolutely.
developer. Yes, I'm not a developer. I'm a business person. I studied accounting and business in school, and I'm building tech businesses and so on. So Jack Ma inspires me because, again, he's not a tech person, but he was able to build a tech empire, and he has a very simple approach to explaining things, or to even finding solutions to problems. Sometimes you listen to, for example, someone like Elon Musk, which is someone that I also admire to a certain extent, and the way he explains, it's too technical that someone without that level of technicalities will not even understand. On the other hand, Jack Ma explains things in very simple terms, because probably he doesn't have the technical exposure compared to Elon Musk, and that's something I admire about him. And that also makes me believe that it's actually possible that building a tech business is not something that, a tech intensive business is not only for people who have actually done engineering or software development in school or as a trade. So Jack Ma obviously inspires me, and a lot of different people. There are things that you can learn from, different people. Someone like, for example, Steve Jobs. He's of late today, but all of us know Steve Jobs. There are some aspects of his management style that I like, like getting to the chase, not wasting time, and so on and so forth. So I think I can go on and on. Like, there's so many people that I admire for different reasons.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have to admit, without technical background, also was a daunting thing for me to start my own startup, right? Because I'm not a programmer myself. I often ask myself, am I capable even to start a company without those technical expertise? But you are definitely right. I mean, Jack Ma is a fantastic role model for lots of Chinese entrepreneurs and global entrepreneurs. And he's really having that contagious and eloquent speech that can motivate and incentivize a lot of people. So a lot of qualities of leadership is something you absolutely need as an entrepreneur to build a company, not only technology background, technology expertise.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
absolutely right. Technology alone is not enough. You need to blend the skills.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, cool. I have been personally in Africa. I have seen with my own eyes, firsthand experience, how the cash payment is being done in Africa, right? I can only imagine like how convenient, what kind of convenience those cashless society or a app that can help people to build a cashless society in Africa, what type of benefits they are going to bring to Africa. They're going to bring a radical kind of change to the society. So I was wondering, could you share some success stories where Swychr actually significantly impacted your users' lives through those digitized payments?
Sure. And thank you so much for that question, Carol. I think one of the, especially when you're still at a very early stage in your company, when the company is still young, one of the things that keeps you going as a founder or as part of the founding team is actually the real value that you see your product creating for the society. So even when it gets tough, and you remember those things, then you encourage yourself to keep going. There's one example I always like to mention. I'm going to mention two examples actually, with one just being recent. But the first example I'll mention is actually Swychr facilitated a collaboration between an artist based in Cameroon and an artist based in Kenya. And how did that? When I say artist, I mean musical artists, like musicians. So basically, this artist is based in Cameroon and wanted to do a song with a featuring from the Ghana-based artist. But then the Ghana-based artist was supposed to charge this artist, charge for the verse or for the collaboration. And there was no way for the guy in Cameroon to get the payment, to get the funds across to the guy in Ghana. And then someone told this guy about Swychr. Actually, someone who knows me personally told this guy about Swychr and gave them my contact. So he reached out and I was able to coordinate, help them, guide them because they were new to the app. So the guy in Cameroon was able to add funds to the app, send to the guy in Ghana. The guy in Ghana was able to withdraw the funds, and the rest is history. So without Swychr coming into the picture, maybe that song that with artists collaborating, two artists from two different African countries collaborating would have not been possible. And those kind of success stories, I mean, those kind of examples is actually some of the things that keep me motivated and keep wake me up from bed every day to work, because I know that what we are building, the solution that we are creating, is solving a real problem for the people that we are building for. Another example is just recently, actually, there's a guy who runs an online class in Nigeria to teach, basic digital skills like web development, graphic designs, and so on. And before now, his classes were only limited to people within Nigeria, and the simple reason is people within Nigeria are able to pay because the class is happening online. So of course, anyone anywhere should be able to attend. But then he wasn't able to collect payments from people outside of Nigeria. So his scope or his market was only limited to potential students within Nigeria. Now, thanks to Swychr, this guy is able to have students from Kenya, from Cameroon, from Zambia, etc. Like he's able to have students from all across. He actually got to me, to thank me and say, look, because of your app, I'm able to reach students in different African countries. It's good for him because now his market scope has increased or has expanded, but also good for the students, because imagine I'm in Cameroon and I want to attend, I really want to get this skill, but just because I'm not able to pay, then I'm not admitted to the class. So this is another very good example where Swychr makes a big difference in the lives of people in Africa.
Very interesting, very touching to hear those stories. I mean, traditionally, those cross-border payments are kind of the benefits and the privilege reserved for the people who have cards, for example, Visa or MasterCard kind of thing, right? Yeah. And without those global network cards, it's literally impossible to pay cross-border. But right now, you're providing a solution that allows people, even without those global network access to make payments cross-border. And not to mention that Visa and MasterCard are pretty expensive. I mean, they are charging a pretty high commission for the cross-border payment.
Yeah, I mean, most of our within Africa, most people don't have bank accounts, they don't have these cards. And to use our app, like we support different payment methods. So we've integrated with different mobile money wallets, even across Africa and Asia. Like we support GCash in the Philippines. We have True Money, Ghana, Alipay, Hong Kong, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we support all these different kind of, even by crypto, you can even add funds directly from any crypto wallet into our app, and then you can transact. So we've done our best to cover as many local payment methods as possible so that we really can financially include and empower anyone who really wants to send funds, no matter where they are, to be able to do so.
So is it true that it only requires a mobile phone or a mobile phone number to use your solution?
Yes, you need, actually, even with just an email address. So basically you can sign up and you can even opt to get your OTP by email to verify yourself. And then once you are in the app, there are a lot of things that you can do. But again, whatever you can do on the app is also limited by the kind of verification that you've done. So with just your email or your mobile number, you sign up to the app, you can already start using the app. But then when you try to access some different features, you might need to go through the KYC process and so on. And then when you're verified, there are more features open to you.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah, Africa definitely have a huge population unbanked, but when I was there, I also noticed that mobile phone is actually pretty present, right? Lots of people having not smartphone, but simple phone for calling, for example. Pretty much everybody has a small and simple phone. So this would kind of your solution only require a phone number or email address, really enable them to make simple payments with just the phone.
So yeah, we've actually built our app in a way that serves even people who do not need to download the app. Take, for example, that I want to send money to you. Let's say you are based in Nigeria and you don't have a smartphone, but you have, okay, let me say Cameroon. Cameroon would be a very good example. Let's say you're based in Cameroon, you don't have a smartphone, but you have a phone number, and that phone number is linked to a mobile money wallet, which is issued to you by the telco. It's not digital. You don't need any smartphone for that. The wallet is just linked to your mobile number, and you can interact with the wallet by dialing some codes on your phone. Now I can, from my Swychr account, I can send funds directly to your mobile money wallet, so you don't even need to download the app. So I add the funds into my account, and I can withdraw the funds directly into your mobile money wallet. That's how I send money to my grandma, for example. So you don't even need to download the app, because you have a mobile number that is linked to a mobile money wallet. I can send funds to you. So we took all of these different scenarios into consideration because we really want our app to impact people even indirectly.
Yeah, so if everyday person like your grandma or my mom can use such app easily, then the scalability potential is huge for African markets.
Sure. I mean, our goal is to become the leading digital wallet, not only across Africa, but across all emerging market countries, Africa, Asia, South America, what have you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, let's shifting the gears a little bit. Let's talk about your funding journey, because funding is such a big and important component for most of the startups who are looking for venture kind of funding resources. So what advice would you actually give to entrepreneurs looking to raise capital for tech startups?
Yeah, then funding is getting increasingly difficult. Let's be very clear. With everything happening in the macro and economic environment, and also with I would say recent events, and the rate of startup failure and so on. There are so many factors that have contributed, but in general, we are no longer living in a time where you can just build a pitch deck and get funding. My advice to anyone working on a startup or thinking about working on a startup, as far as funding is concerned, is first start by doing some work, like use your own resources, family and friends or whatever to build something, because that process actually helps you to evaluate whether or not you want to continue working on this project. You build an MVP, get it in the hands of paid customers. I'm not fond of the strategy of, give your product out for free and then charge later. For me, I prefer build an MVP, make sure people are paying for it, because that's how you know. Like, I could tell you that you've done a very good job, but if I'm not willing to pay for that product, then maybe you've not done a very good job. So my advice is build an MVP, make sure you get some paying users, get some feedback, validate your hypotheses, and so on and so forth. And then once you have that a bit of traction, you have the MVP, probably you've improved it based, or you're still improving it based on the feedback that you've gotten from your first set of paying customers, then it will be a good time to go out and start speaking to investors. And even when you're speaking to investors, from my experience, I wouldn't say I have the roadmap or the best strategy, but I found that what works, what has worked for me so far is knowing the amount of funding you need, and what you want to achieve with that amount, and who to go to. For example, if you're looking for, let's say you've built your MVP, you've gotten feedback from your first set of paying users, and you're just looking for a bit of money to implement that feedback or to improve the product to get to a certain level, right? Where maybe you were serving a small set of users, and now you're looking to improve the product and open it up and open the thing up to the public, then you might probably want to go for an angel round, you know, where you speak to individual angel investors and you get a bit of funding in and you do that. It will not make sense. For example, if you're still at an MVP level and then you're going out there to raise $10 million, you start talking to VCs that you want to raise $10 million, and you don't have a clear plan on what you want to do with that money, because some founders actually do that. Then it becomes really, really difficult for you to raise funds, because again, though you might even have a clear-cut plan as far as your company growth roadmap is concerned. You are not yet at the point where you should be talking to those kind of VCs. So there are different stages. You need to know which stage you are at, why you need the funds, how much you need, and who would be the best, or what kind of investor will be best fit for that round.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned whether you can get a paid customer or not. Not only free customer, but paid customer is an important criteria to evaluate whether you are building something worthwhile. YC often say that build something that people want, but it's also important to know that you build something people want, but also willing to pay for it, right? Because that pay or not pay is a big kind of a step to move to test the validity of your product in the market. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. So we know that Swychr is focusing on simplifying the remittance using digital token, but we also know finance is a pretty heavily regulated industry. So as you scale across borders in Africa and also later in other regions, how do you navigate those regulatory complexity for fintech?
Yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. Finance is regulated, and it's rightfully so, because again, you're dealing with people's money. What we've done in order to go fast is we work with a lot of different partners. So if you go to the app we are providing, so there's the cross-border remittances, there's payments, there's gift cards, there's airtime, and so on and so forth, and we are adding more services. So what we've done to help us move fast without having too many regulatory limitations is by integrating or consuming APIs from a lot of different partners who are already licensed to carry out this kind of business in their different markets. So that has been our strategy when it comes to regulations, because if we try to get all the licenses that we need on our own, it would take a lot of time. And even for the number of markets that we are already touching, probably it would have taken us 5 years to do that. But by collaborating with different partners and consuming their APIs, we've been able to scale really quickly.
That's a very smart strategy indeed. This approach differs from a lot of other fintech company I heard about because they are more focusing on building their own technology, right, and getting a license for themselves. But what you're doing to leverage your partnership network and building on your API is really a very smart way to tackle this challenge. Okay, so I know that Swychr is also not your first startup, and you have quite extensive entrepreneurial experience under your belt. Could you share the outcome maybe of some of your previous ventures? Did you exit or shut them down previously? And additionally, what lessons did you learn from your previous startup that you actually apply in subsequent endeavors? Do you think being the second time or even third time founders actually increased your chances of success in this entrepreneurial journey?
Let me start by answering the last part of the question. So I definitely think doing anything for the second or third time, especially if you learned your lessons in the previous attempts, is a lot better. It increases your chances of success. And yes, I've worked on a couple of other projects. The latest one before Swychr, it's an e-grocery app. So we were competing with the likes of InstaShop, Air Grocer at that time. Now Kareem, Talabat, everyone has come into the market. It was called Jump the Queue. So the same team that is working, the same founding team that's working on Swychr, we started that e-grocery startup, and I think things were going pretty well. We got initial funding. We had more than 1,000 customers, and probably we're working with about 20 supermarkets in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. However, when COVID hit, every other company, every food delivery company got into the space because there was just so much demand. And then what happened is most of these companies started negotiating exclusive deals with some of these supermarkets, and small players like us were pushed out. And then I think, long and short is, we then decided to pivot to work on Swychr because this is a project that the plan was always to build that, and then later on after exit, work on the remittance and cross-border thing for emerging market countries. But we decided to make the shift when COVID hit due to factors that I've explained. And for me, I think I learned a lot. Personally, I learned a lot from the previous venture. And I think it's the same for everyone in the team because you get real insight, because sometimes you just make a plan, but then when you implement and you start facing so many different challenges, so many things that you couldn't foresee, it prepares you. Every time we go into a board meeting or every time we are discussing and making plans, now, because we've done it before, we always have to factor in that allowance for things that you don't expect. But when you have no experience, you think that you're working in an ideal world where everything will work, in accordance with what your expectations. But experience has taught us that this is not always the case. No plan survives the attack with the first attack with the enemy. Something always happens, and experience has, prepared us to be able to adapt and find solutions and keep going as things happen. So I definitely think the fact that I'm doing this for the second or third time has prepared me and has made me a better entrepreneur in so many different aspects.
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship, I feel like it's also a lot about learning by doing, right?
Yes.
Nobody was born to be an entrepreneur. They always learn through the process, especially some of those failures. And I also heard people saying, when you pivot, it's not a failure. Only when you stop, it's a failure. So as long as you can get learn lessons from your previous experience and pivot towards the right direction, it's always you can keep on going. The success is just around the corner.
Sure. I mean, that's actually true because when you pivot, you're not the same. You even if you fail and you start something else, because it's actually character building. You've built yourself into a different version of you, and once you build that version of you that can make a business successful, then you will eventually hit success.
Cool, wonderful. Sure, and we know that the uncertainty is a big thing with startup. It always follow entrepreneurship. It's an uncertainty. But when you build on emerging markets, you have even greater level of uncertainty compared to those who build in developed markets. So how do you assess the impact of this global kind of economic trends on fintech startups like Swychr, given the uncertainty and unexpected circumstances in emerging markets?
For me, I think it's very simple. Uh, uh, Being very clear about what I want to build and having laser focus on my customers. I understand that what I think my customers' needs are may not actually be what their needs are. So I need to maintain a good relationship with them so I understand their needs. And then as the environment, as the economy, as environmental factors change, their needs may also change. But because I maintain a close relationship with my customers, I can know quickly that their needs are changing and I can adapt. And I think this is how we are building our company, by keeping a very close relationship with all the stakeholders, especially the customers, understanding their needs, understanding how their needs are changing. So in our company, again, we are still young, we deploy every month. So every month we are shipping something. We are shipping a new feature, we are shipping a new product improvement, we are shipping every single month. And that's always because customers always want something different. They might just want you to improve a process. They might want you to deploy a new feature and so on and so forth. And we are able to do that because we are maintaining a very close relationship with them.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Aaron, for providing such deep insights into the world of Swychr today with us, and also sharing your personal journey with us. It's been incredibly enlightening. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who tuned in as well. It's been an inspiring start to our new interview series, and I can't wait to bring you more stories from the forefront of innovation. Keep that spark of curiosity alive, and see you next time on Spark to Spotlight, where we continue to explore the ideas shaping our world.